In the summer of 1841, a doctor in Florida named John Gorey faced a terrifying crisis. Yellow fever, known as the Black Vomit, was spreading through his town, killing entire families. Patients arrived at his small infirmary burning with fevers reaching 40 degrees Celsius. Without modern medicine, Gorey tried something unusual. He hung large blocks of ice above his patients' beds, so the cold air could flow downward and cool them. And it worked, but there was a huge problem. Keeping the hospital cool required hundreds of kilograms of ice every single day. And the only way to get that ice was through a powerful global network controlled by one man. A man the world would later call the Ice King. At that time, most of America's ice came from frozen lakes in the northern states. Workers would walk out onto thick winter ice and cut massive blocks using long saws. It was incredibly dangerous work. If the ice cracked, workers and even horses could fall into freezing water and die. Because harvesting ice was so difficult, it remained a rare luxury, used mainly by wealthy families. One of the few people fascinated by this business was a young Boston merchant named Frederick Tudor. In 1805, Tudor remembered a painful moment from years earlier. While traveling in the Caribbean, both he and his brother became seriously ill with fever. Back in America, they would have used ice to cool their bodies. But in the Caribbean, ice simply didn't exist. They rushed back home, but only Frederick survived. His brother died. Tudor became convinced that if ice had been available on the islands, his brother might have lived. That belief gave him a bold idea. What if he could ship ice from New England all the way to the Caribbean? People thought he was insane. Transporting ice through tropical heat seemed impossible. But Tudor believed it could work if the ice was packed tightly and protected from warm air. A technique that had been used thousands of years earlier in ancient Persia, where massive dome-shaped ice houses stored ice even in desert heat. Inspired by those ideas, Tudor prepared his first shipment. In February 1806, he sailed from Boston carrying 80 tons of ice toward the island of Martinique. After nearly 3 weeks at sea, about half the ice survived the journey. But another disaster struck. The ice house that was supposed to store the shipment had never been built. With nowhere to keep it, Tudor had to sell the ice immediately under the blazing Caribbean sun. The locals had never seen ice before. Many didn't understand what it was or how to use it. One customer even tried to save his ice by placing it in water, only to watch it melt even faster. After 2 days, Tudor had earned only about $50. The rest of the ice melted away. Most people would have given up. Tudor did not. For the next several years, he continued shipping ice to islands like Cuba, Jamaica, and Barbados. But business was extremely difficult. By 1809, he was drowning in debt, owing investors the equivalent of over $1 million today. Creditors chased him constantly, and he was even thrown into debtor's prison twice. But during those hard years, Tudor realized something important. People in the Caribbean didn't buy ice because they had never experienced it before. So he decided to show them. Tudor began giving ice for free to bartenders, teaching them how to make cold drinks and cocktails. Customers could choose between warm drinks and icy ones at the same price. Almost everyone chose the cold drink. Very quickly, people became addicted to chilled beverages. As Tudor later wrote, "A man who drinks his drinks cold for a week will never accept them warm again." Demand finally exploded. Tudor improved his system by insulating ice with sawdust, which turned out to be extremely effective. He also introduced horse-drawn cutting tools that made harvesting ice much faster. By the 1820s, his business finally became profitable. Then he attempted something even more ambitious. In 1833, Tudor shipped ice halfway across the world to India. The journey lasted 4 months, yet more than half the ice survived. When it arrived in Calcutta, it became an instant sensation. Over the next decades, Tudor expanded his ice empire to Brazil, Singapore, Hong Kong, and even Australia. His yearly sales eventually reached over 130,000 tons of ice. The world gave him a new nickname, the Ice King. By the mid-1800s, ice had transformed everyday life. Homes began using ice boxes, wooden cabinets insulated with ice that kept food fresh. Families bought ice weekly from a new profession known as the Iceman, who delivered large blocks door to door. Ice also transformed entire industries. It revolutionized fishing, meat packing, brewing, and food transportation. Railroad cars packed with ice allowed fresh food to travel across the country. But while the natural ice industry was booming, a new invention was quietly threatening it. The same doctor we met at the beginning, John Gorey, had been experimenting with ways to create ice using compressed air. He discovered that when air expands rapidly, its temperature drops. Using this principle, he built a machine that could produce freezing temperatures and create ice even in the hot climate of Florida. For the first time in history, humans could manufacture ice anywhere. But the idea was controversial. Many people believed ice should only come from nature, and supporters of the natural ice industry mocked Gorey's invention. Newspapers called him crazy and claimed that only God could create ice. Although Gorey patented his machine, he never made money from it and died poor. However, his idea inspired other inventors. One engineer, James Harrison, developed a new refrigeration system that used liquids which evaporate and absorb heat. His machines were far more efficient and could produce thousands of kilograms of ice every day. Around the same time, people began realizing another problem with natural ice. It was often contaminated. Industrial pollution had started filling rivers and lakes with waste, meaning the ice cut from those waters could carry bacteria and chemicals. People were becoming sick from the very ice they used to cool drinks or treat injuries. Artificial ice suddenly seemed much safer. Then, in 1927, the first affordable home refrigerator appeared on the market. Within 2 decades, refrigerators spread to most homes in America. Faster than cars had replaced horse-drawn carriages. The age of the Ice King was over. Yet, refrigeration would change the world far beyond food. Today, the same cooling technology preserves vaccines, blood supplies, medicines like insulin, and even enables advanced scientific discoveries requiring extremely low temperatures. From hospitals to space telescopes, refrigeration has become one of the most important technologies of modern civilization. And it all began with frozen lakes, a determined entrepreneur, and a doctor trying to save his patients from a deadly fever. So the next time you open your refrigerator, remember this: ice was once one of the most valuable resources on Earth. A luxury fought for, shipped across oceans, and powerful enough to change the world. But what do you think? Was it innovation that changed everything, or human determination?